If you love sports, then you'll love Stats and Stilettos.
Welcome to Stats and Stilettos here on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Welcome back. What's going on, everybody? I'm Farouk Basir.
I am Ty Eileen.
I am Maya Akai.
And tonight we have a jam-packed football edition here, with it being the first official day of the NFL. You know, we had the game Wednesday, but today everybody was playing pretty much. You know, the Bears with the big win, so it's pretty much going to be football for the majority of the show tonight. Phone number here at the station if you want to join in and talk about any of this football is 773-591-1690. You can listen online at WVON.com. Go on there and click on the iHeartRadio app. Or if you have a smartphone, you can download the radio app. You go on there and click on the iHeartRadio icon on WVON.com. Take WVON with you wherever you go. You can also follow the show on Twitter at
Stilettos.
A little slow right there. And you can also like the Facebook fan page as well. So coming up at 9:40, we have – who do we have at 9:40? We have a whole big old group of people there.
Yeah, we have the YMP Chicago coming on to talk a little bit of politics, coming off of the DNC last week, as well as some intramural things that they have coming up in the city of Chicago, trying to get, people to come out and join these sports teams and mix and mingle with each other, as well as push, people coming out to exercise and things of that nature. So they're going to come on and talk about what they have going on there.
Cool. And at 10 o'clock, it's back at 10 o'clock. Around the League. Remember that? We had the hype music for that. That's going to be back, though. So we'll be doing that. We'll be doing all the different scores, having our 2 cents worth on all the different games going on around the NFL today. And also, coming up later in the show at 10:40, we will be having our sports tip of the week. Looking forward to that. And we're going to give the White Sox a little due. They have a pretty huge series coming up this week.
And I really need you to stay committed, Farouk. I need you to stop being wishy-washy about this.
No, I'm very committed. You'll hear that later on in the show. I'm very committed to my stance. But we'll be getting to that. We'll do that to wrap up the show. But what's going on now?
Well, coming up at the top of the hour, obviously, it's football Sunday. It's not at the official kickoff because that was on,
Wednesday.
Wednesday with...
They didn't want to interrupt Obama on Thursday, so they did it Wednesday.
Giants, Dallas. So, But a lot of people look at this Sunday as really official kind of football. So we have 2 guests coming on, which will be a different format for us.
Yeah.
But they are very informative in the fact that they are fans as well as very avid bloggers. We have Roy Anthony, who you can follow on Twitter at YourBoyRoy, as well as his website that he does his blogging on is ChicagoFootballTalk.com. He does blogging written as well as he does videos on YouTube. Very, very informative when you talk about X and O's. You can also find him on Facebook at Chicago Football Talk as well. And then we have John coming out the den, Cadillac. I love Cadillac like Cadillac kind of thing. I'm going to tell you how serious John is about. He does not go anywhere to watch the Bears game except for at home. So he can sit down and take notes and really break it down. You can also follow John on Twitter at JackHammerEBM, as well as he's on Facebook at Johnny.Cadillac as well. Does a lot of posting in the fan page for Monsters of the Midway on Facebook. So, these are 2 people that are going to really break down everything from X's and O's to, how the offense did, defense, the whole barrage for us. So it's a fan's take, but it's a really in detail fan's take, which is really good.
Okay, so how you doing tonight, guys?
Doing well. It's excellent.
All right. Well, Roy, let's start with you. What I saw of the Bears game today, I can't really find too many negatives, except for maybe the run defense. But we ain't going to start on that. We're going to go positive. They blew out the Colts. But Jay Cutler got off to the shaky 1-for-10 start, but then he really picked it up, going 20 for his last 25. Talk about his comfort level back there behind a shaky offensive line, a lot of people thought.
Yeah, at first a lot of people were questioning the offensive line. I think that was the big question mark going in. And even after that, they got off to that rough start. In the first drive there were a couple blown assignments, and it's hard to tell exactly who made the wrong calls there. But, of course, we're so used to seeing negative or bad, poor offensive line play that the knee-jerk reaction amongst the community of fans you could see on Twitter and all the social networks was pretty negative. But I had been preaching patience, all week long, and it really came to fruition. I was trying to warn people this is a new offense, even the new offensive line. In some parts it's the same pieces, but they've moved around a little bit. And I had a feeling they were going to get off to a slow start. I tried to, temper people, save them from jumping off the ledge. And they eventually, once they got into their rhythm there, Jay Cutler got hot. And I pretty much put it out there on Twitter, officially warmed up. You can relax now. So it was pretty much what I expected. I thought they would turn it around. I thought they would start slow, and then I thought they would pick it up there. I'm anxious to get into some of the film room stuff to actually kind of try to assess, who was at fault on certain plays. The running game did pick itself up as well. The rushing defense, like you said, on the negative is something to look at. But, yeah, Jay Cutler got hot like I expected him to. And Alshon Jeffrey, who a lot of people are expecting to actually turn it around, he actually finally got a connection going with him, and that's only going to get better. And that's the great thing right there. They're only going to get more comfortable with each other. So,
Roy, when you talk about the offensive line, here's the thing that I forecast going into this season. You're going to see more of plays that are accommodating to the talent that Tice knows he has. He knows him very intimately, obviously, with being offensive line coordinator and now being the offensive coordinator. He was never going to put them in the position where they weren't going to be able to provide the proper coverage. I'm not surprised. I'm with you on this. Slow start, but it's the first game of the season. Everybody's playing a full game. It made sense that the thing I said last week, and Farouk said, I don't think so. I said, expect at least 3 touchdowns with this personnel. It makes sense because they can spread the field. But when it's all said and done, I think, for what it's worth, I think the O-line did a good job.
Yeah, they did really good. I think even Jamarcus Webb, I put that out there on Twitter, there's a couple plays. Nobody played perfect in this game today. Even Jay Cutler had that pick six early, which had people, again, jumping off over the ledge. Kind of like lemmings. One goes and everyone else is ready to follow. But Jamarcus Webb played a pretty good game. I was tweeting out there, J-Webb Nation, be proud, put your T-shirts on, and everybody should feel good about how he played. He played very, very well. And like you said, Tice knows him. He played to his strengths, but I was very impressed with my first initial impression of what Jamarcus Webb did. And I know Johnny pretty well, and we communicate back and forth very, very detailed fan analysis from him. Finalysis, as I like to call it. I'm sure Johnny
I like
agrees
that, finalysis.
What we're talking about. Yeah, that's pretty much a new thing that's going on right now, and we're trying to pave the way on that. Fans like Johnny, me, a couple other guys, DJ Durkin, also Brad Selesky from Midway Illustrated. A finalysis. It's a new little niche, but that's what the internet allows us to do. So,
Johnny, what did you think about? Obviously, Matt Forte got quite a bit of touches in this game. Looked good. Obviously a good balance with Bush and everything. But I have to say, it almost looked like Forte was running like a man possessed, like he had something to prove.
Well, I think Forte kind of got the Bears going with that 32-yard run, and I got to say, the blocking was excellent on that play. Alshon Jeffrey downfield, which Roy was talking about, all throughout preseason, that he was expecting big things in the blocking game from him, and it's true. He's like a man among boys. And Rodriguez, he came in and made a really good cut block, and Webb had a seal block and got him going, and he turned on the jets, and that pretty much got the offense going. I thought there was a chance in the second drive where Marshall dropped the ball on a nice pass by Jay, but saw a guy coming in, and he dropped it. That might have got him going, but, it was old reliable, the running game. And, the one thing about the Bears' offensive line is they've always been a good run-blocking line. A lot of people don't realize just how good they've been the last couple of years. Even though they've had problems in protections, I have all kinds of theories on that. I've talked to Roy in detail about that. But, I'm just going to say that a lot of people have underestimated the athleticism of this line. That's the thing. They've got a lot of talent. They're huge, and they can move really, really well for their size. And actually, the weak link physically is probably Garza, and he's one of the guys that gets the most props. He's missing all kinds of blocks on the second level. I know Roy did a lot of detailed study on it last year, and actually highlighted some of the misses that he had in the second level. But he has the brains, and Jay's comfortable with them. But I have really high expectations for this running game and the line as a whole. And as you saw, you got the run-pass option. If you can run like that, it put them on their heels, and then they were able to open it up with the pass.
When I looked at this game overall, which a little bit I got to see of it because we had a lot going on, the one thing for me, I really wasn't as disenchanted with the offense. In fact, they kind of performed to the level that I anticipated. I saw some defensive woes in this game that I was a little concerned about. Roy, kind of give me what was your take on what you saw defensively, what they excelled at, but what are some weaknesses you think they're going to struggle with, at least looking at this first game?
Well, it kind of – oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Roy. It was to Roy?
Yeah, Roy. And then, Johnny, I'll have you chime in on it.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure some of this stuff we'll both overlap on a little bit here, but it kind of starts with Urlacher. He was the big story going in, even nationally, even though he joked that it was mostly locally. Urlacher's a national figure there, and everyone was wondering how well he was going to move. Some people were chiming in saying he's done or he's poor or put in Nick Roach's replacement. He wanted to play the whole game. What I saw when I look at it on my first initial viewing is that he just wasn't moving very well. He wasn't used to the brace, and he criticized the brace even in his post-game interviews on radio stations after the game. So I think that had something to do with it. He didn't play perfect, but he looked like he was out of shape as he thought he would be. But really the running woes come down to the interior of the defensive line. They're still trying to figure out what they need to do with that tackle rotation. Pea was supposed to start. I think he might have got the first couple snaps, but Toenya was in there for a while. Lovie Smith at the half actually was critical of the run defense and said they needed to improve it on those final two drives there. And when they started the second half, they actually kind of benched, if you will, Henry Melton, and they ended up going with the all-poly line, if you will, the all-team poly, as they like to tweet about it, the all-Polynesian defensive tackle line with Pea and Toenya on there. Yeah, that's how they like to call it. But there's definitely pride. I've always said, give me a team of all Polynesians, and we'll go to the Super Bowl, if you will. They're just naturally tough football players, if you will. But anyway, that seemed to improve the defensive line when they, as far as the rushing woes. But some of their running, they still ended up giving up. So I think part of it came down to Pea maybe being out of shape. Toenya is still somewhat of a question mark, and frankly, I'm hoping that they have one roster spot open. I don't know if you're aware of that. They actually went into the game with 52 instead of 53. I'm hoping that they might even be considering bringing back Brian Price, who was their most dominant run performer in the preseason, even though it was against backups. But he has a conditioning issue as well. So I think the good thing is the offense can carry the defense, and that will put the game into a one-phase mode where they're going to have to pass once they get down so far. So we won't have to worry about it so much, if you will. But it is still something to look forward to, or something to keep an eye on as we move forward in the season.
Johnny, what did you think about the red zone defense? It seemed like the Bears were a little soft. They gave up a little too much when they got into that short field situation with the Colts.
Well, I mean, that's typical Lovie Smith defense. That's what he does. I mean, he plays that soft coverage over the top, going downhill, attacking the ball, all eyes on the quarterback, that kind of stuff. I mean, it worked out. They got 5 takeaways. It's pretty hard to criticize.
True.
Criticize them, when they, especially, in the red zone, they got a red zone pick. A great play by Jennings, by the way. I hope people finally get off his back about being too short. He's a hell of a player. It's just typical Lovie Smith type defense. They played well. I think the linebackers kind of, they didn't play too well. You already mentioned Urlacher, with the brace and being out of shape. I'm glad that they exercised caution with him. I was kind of pissed off about Lovie playing him at the end of the year there, where nothing to play for, along with the other vets. But that's all water under the bridge. But I thought the linebacker play was kind of bad. Roach got burned on a couple of plays. They were getting pushed around. They're kind of light in the pants. I've always criticized, the fact that they don't emphasize the sandbacker. They don't got a big, strong, strapping lad over there holding down the run. They kind of rely on cornerbacks to do the run tackling. That's why they got cornerbacks to, they want bigger cornerbacks to, kind of do that. So that's why they got the lighter linebackers covering tight ends and whatnot in nickel situations. But, I don't know. What can you say? I mean, I'm not a big Lovie Smith fan, not of his defense. It's not because it's a Tampa 2 or anything. It's just I'm more a fan of a more aggressive style of defense, like San Francisco today, for example. I'd love to have their defense.
All right, fellas, hold tight. We got a little more. We got to take this break. We'll be back after this.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos. Find us on Facebook and like our fan page.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos. We are reviewing all things Bears today. We have with us 2 very big, huge Bears fans. We have Roy Anthony and Johnny Hadalack. Right, that's right. Hadalack like Cadillac.
Right.
That's how Maya told us to say it. Overall, when you look at the final score, 41-21, and we look at what RG3 did today, do we think that the Bears have somewhat exposed Andrew Luck, or is it really just him trying to get into the feel of, his team and still trying to figure out his place? Hello?
Who would you like to answer this?
Let's start with Roy.
Actually, I like what RG3 did today, but I think it comes down to the defenses that they're facing. You're looking at the Bears' defense has been preparing all year. The thing I thought actually Luck would do a little bit better than he did, but the Bears got pressure on him. I actually overall, when you look between the lines, like you said, when you look through the numbers and the final score, I thought he showed a lot of poise. He could have easily gotten frustrated. He could have easily threw some more picks, if you will. He actually showed some pretty good pocket presence, some good mobility. Julius Peppers was playing like a man possessed. He was quite the beast early on, and throughout that game, they tried to rest him, but he was getting the Luck, and Luck just didn't seem fazed by it at all, which really impressed me. I think anytime, put yourself back there and you see we're not getting paid millions of dollars, but you put yourself back there and think about Julius Peppers breathing down your neck like he did. And I thought he showed some pretty good poise, actually. I think it is lost in the numbers. What was big for them, you could tell, actually, is him regrouping them and actually scoring one touchdown, going down there on a drive, getting that first passing touchdown in a regular season game off his back. But, football is the ultimate team sport. You got three phases there. Well, you can include the fans. The fourth phase almost shot us in the foot there earlier, and Cutler kind of got animated about that. I don't know if you noticed that, and I had a chance to peep that earlier, but they got a little loud in the red zone, and Cutler kind of got on them, which is something, we got to help raise the IQ of Bears fans, so hopefully that message, and this one's reaching everybody out there, but you could tell that he actually got a lot of confidence from getting that one passing touchdown in, and it did help him out. But I was actually impressed with what Luck did. Again, to get back to the team aspect I was alluding to earlier, when your defense gives up points, because the Bears offense can do that now, they can carry a team and they put that pressure on you, it makes playing defense for the Bears easier because they have to pass to basically try to catch up. And I thought Luck could have easily folded. He could have easily crumbled, and he just kept his poise and realized, hey, we're getting our butts kicked, and we're just going to have to make some drives and try to get a little consistency and some rhythm going so we can build on it going into next week. I mean, the whole second half, they knew they were losing that game. They were just trying to build towards next week. So I think obviously RG3 put up great numbers, but I think Luck's going to bounce back, and I think overall Washington has a little bit more going for them from a talent perspective than the Colts do. The Colts is a pretty much totally re-gutted team. RG3 kind of got plopped into a Redskins team that already at least has a year or two into their whole offensive scheme, their whole the core there. The Colts are a total rebuild job, and this is year one of it, not year 2 or 3, and that does matter in football.
All right, fellas, Thursday is the big one, part one, Bears at Green Bay. Talk about that. Is this game are we really going to see both of these teams' true selves? Johnny, we'll start with you, or is this more of still kind of a warm-up, feeling out yourself as a team type of thing with these two, even though it's a major rivalry and they know each other very well?
Well, for Green Bay, it's definitely not a warm-up. I mean, they better win the whole Division One, and if they're 0-2, they're going to be in deep doo-doo. And they lost a conference game today, too, with a team they could very well be competing for a playoff spot, and they did not look good. If they didn't get that break on that punt return, they would have looked even worse. I mean, that kind of got them back in the game on that missed block behind the back call. I mean, in the back call. But, the Bears obviously are going to want to prove a point. They're going to attack this defense of Green Bay's. I mean, they can definitely give up a lot of yardage. They got flash players. They can make big plays. So, I mean, they count on that, to get turnovers, almost like a Lovie Smith one, but more gambling with the 3-4 and the attacking. And Dom Capers is just a genius. So I'm sure he'll have some ideas, but, I mean, they're really at a disadvantage because clearly they had to put more into their game than the Bears had to in theirs because, like Roy said, it's a rebuilding team. The Bears are playing a 3-4 team with 4-3 personnel, basically, and they lost their top guy on the line early on. So, it was pretty easy for the Bears, and they knew it. They even Roy even mentioned it that Urlacher, was actually kind of looking ahead and he kind of like had to, like catch himself a little bit because he was talking about them having the game plan already installed for Green Bay, so they're going to be clearly ready for him. And Green Bay, they're probably beat up. It's a physical defense. They're at a disadvantage. It's a short week. It's a new Bear offense. The Bears actually have a real chance here, and I would be disappointed if they came away with anything but a victory.
All right, Roy, you take a stab at that one.
Yeah, to chime in on that, I'd have to agree with the whole and follow up with what Johnny said. I think Green Bay's in trouble. I expected of all the most teams that were improved, I think the whole NFC North is in trouble, if not the whole NFC. I've been circling the 49ers and Bears game. I think a lot of people underestimated San Francisco going into Lambeau. They didn't give them any shot. Most people gave them, a really long shot to actually beat Green Bay. I actually thought they could go in there and beat them, and I actually thought the Bears would have the advantage because, as Johnny mentioned, Green Bay would come in beat up. 49ers have the most physical defense in the NFL, and when they come to play Thursday, I actually expect the Bears to win that game. I don't think Green Bay has any shot at stopping. If they let the 49ers put up 30, and they could have even probably put up more than that, I don't know what they think they're going to be able to do, what tricks they're going to try to save in order to stop this Bears offense that is just starting to get. That 49ers offense, they've already had 1 year under their belt. This is a new offense for the most part. The running game is the same, but this is a new offense, and they're only going to get more comfortable. I think Green Bay's in trouble, and like Johnny said, if they start 0-2, they're going to be the team on the bottom looking up, trying to figure out what they need to do. Statistically, they have the easiest schedule on the league, so they have that going for them. But that just goes back on a win-loss percentage last year, and we're talking about, it's not about what happened last year. It's about what's going on this year. If they start off 0-2, the numbers don't favor them, and they're going to have an uphill battle. But that might be how they like it. That's how they won the Super Bowl. So it's a long season, but starting off 0-2 surely doesn't help.
All right, fellas, tell everybody where to find you. Go ahead, Roy. Start off.
Yeah, you could catch me on ChicagoFootballTalk.com, also on YouTube /Chicago Football Talk and Facebook /Chicago Football Talk. That's a lot of Chicago Football Talk going on. And you can also find me on Your Boy Roy on Twitter. And hopefully in the future you can find me here on Stats and Stilettos whenever you need me.
No problem. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not like Roy. I'm not stud analyst like Roy is. I don't have things going on. So I just go on there for fun. Don't even really blog or whatever. But, you can find me on Twitter, I guess, Twitter at JackHammerEBM, and, you'll find my Facebook link there if you want to hit me up as a friend there. And, I'm on the Hallis Holler a lot. That's probably the one I frequent the most. A lot of intelligent fans in there, a couple of meatballs, but that's okay. I'm a meatball sometimes too, especially after a loss.
We all have it in us. We all have it in us.
We do, especially after a loss. And, your boy's the guy to follow, man. He's got all the fancy equipment. He knows how to use it. He's a real intelligent guy. And he does video breakdown as well as anybody. I'm serious. I'm not kidding about this. He wasn't he played some high school football. He's not a pro football player, but the dude knows what he's talking about. And I would suggest everybody get on his pages. And, it's like a beargasm for me whenever I just wait for his stuff.
If you actually see his, the breakdown that Roy does, it's good. And Johnny, give yourself credit. When he's posting his stuff in the Monsters of the Midway and Hollis House, it's good. It's good stuff. So don't downplay what you post on Facebook.
I was going to say the same thing. Don't sell yourself short, Johnny. You got a lot of football knowledge, and you're one of the people that I love. We're all fellow Bears fans, so, yeah, definitely give Johnny a follow on Twitter. Absolutely. He's worth a follow, and ask him a lot of questions because he'll tell you straight up. He's not going to sugarcoat it, so you better be ready for the truth.
All right, fellas. Thanks a lot. We appreciate your time.
No problem.
All right, have a good show. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, do the same. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
All right. So,
it's a lot of love on the show tonight.
It's a beautiful day. The weather was so great, perfect temperature.
It was, man. It started out a little chilly in the morning, but by noon, it was a perfect, almost 75, 76 degrees.
Man, it was great, and the Bears came through. So that's what's happening.
You said it when we were at the break, Farouk, that you really at this point can't nitpick anything that happened in this Bears game because pretty much they hit on all cylinders. I mean, they looked good. Special teams, some question marks there, but nothing that I think they can't possibly clean up because they have had some personnel changes on special team. But overall, I don't think that you can really, kind of sit here and beat it up because it wasn't overall good performance. Like I said, anything less than 3 touchdowns wouldn't be acceptable, and they did that and then some. So.
Anybody hear anything new on Peanut? I know he didn't play the second half with the whole.
All I saw was a lower leg injury. That's all they're gonna. And
So
that's all they're gonna tell
now,
us.
huh,
It could probably be broken in 10 places, and they just won't tell us until and before the game. Right on Thursday, right before the game, they'll say, "Actually, he had surgery yesterday."
And there's a cast, right.
Hi, this is Maya Khan from Stilettos, AM 1690 WVON. We're at Country Club Hills Theater, where it was Dream Tour with David Sanborn and Brian Culbertson, who I have here with me now.
Hi.
Awesome concert.
Thank you.
And you were talking about Napa.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're gonna use this on our show.
Oh, sweet.
Tell me about what
Napa Valley.
Napa Valley.
Oh, yeah, we're doing a wine and jazz festival. It's called the Napa Valley Jazz Getaway. And it's 5 days in June, the top of June 5th through the 9th. And it's wine tastings, dinners, jazz shows, all kinds of stuff going on. And we invite everybody to fly in for a few days. We got so much going on. So I hope you guys can join us.
I plan on being there next year.
Okay.
All right, so done. There you go.
All right. I'm Brian Culbertson, and this is Stats and Stilettos, 1690 AM, WVON.
Stats and Stilettos.
And Stilettos here on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Farouk, Maya, Ty. We got the whole band back together tonight. Yeah. Loving it. That first hour was pretty much a lot of Bears talk. We got into some social political stuff the last few minutes, but still came back to the Bears. That's how it works. Bears, big win today. For those of you who lived under a rock for the whole day, they won 41-21 over the Indianapolis hapless Colts, so they have a real game this coming Thursday against the Packers, so we'll see what happens with that. But you're probably wondering, wow, there was a lot of other football going on while the Bears game was going on. I wonder what happened. I've been on the go all day. I can't keep up. Well, it's back. It's back. Yeah, let's go around the league. NFL scores. We are going to give, this way this works. This year is us three hosts, Fruit My Tie. We will give our 2 cents worth on every game played since the week started of the particular week in the NFL. But this year, we have a twist. We have my man D, cameraman extraordinaire, Demons, and he will be giving us the score. We'll give our thoughts, and then on to the next score, on to the next one. So start us off, D.
All right. This is D right here. We didn't get everybody's opinion on the Bears, but let's start off with the Bears since we are in Chicago. 41-21 over Indianapolis Colts. Cutler 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But Bush 2 touchdowns. Forte 1 touchdown. Marshall and Jeffrey 1 touchdown. Maya, what do you think?
It's everything I said. They would spread the field. They have the talent to do it. And I said last week, no less than 3 touchdowns would be acceptable, and they accomplished the task.
Fruit.
I think, like I said, pretty well expected the score we had today. The Bears, they weren't going to lose to the Colts. I kind of threw it out last week, like, say, would the Bears be prepared? Just kind of seeing, if there'd be a little twist on the game or whatever, but they were ready. Bears are, and like I said, the real game's coming up Thursday.
All right. And, Ty, you gave us a little something. But how about Jennings and his 2 interceptions? That was pretty big, too.
Jennings played a great game.
Yeah.
Your name is not Ty.
Busted.
Wow.
Just,
Get back
I mean,
in
I'm just saying, just
Man,
FYI.
yeah, that's pretty much
Right.
what she did.
But that was a big deal.
All right. Now let's go ahead and go to the Dirty Birds versus the Chiefs. Atlanta 40, KC 24. Matt Ryan 299 yards with 3 touchdowns. Julio Jones 6 receptions, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. Maya.
I'm not an overbelieve in Atlanta. I think that score is a bit inflated, 40-24. I mean, they did play the KC Chiefs. So at the end of the day, Matt Ryan, to me, is still a mediocre quarterback.
Regular season quarterback.
I think it's very much inflated.
Okay.
Why would you say that about the Chiefs? A lot of people have them winning that division out west, in the AFC West. You still not a believer?
No. Let me just say this. I'm not sold on Cornell's ability when it's all said and done.
Well, your thoughts about them are my thoughts about Atlanta, because I saw that first-round playoff game when they got 2 whole points against the New York Giants last year. And as long as until Atlanta wins a playoff game, I believe nothing they do in the regular season.
That's what I said. I'm not impressed by the 40 points in this opening game with them. I'm not.
I'm not impressed by Atlanta. I think Kansas City is a good team. I think it's a product of week 1. This score. I think Kansas City is going to wind up having a lot better season than Atlanta, even still. Yeah, Julio Jones had a big game.
Julio.
But I like Kansas City. So I just chalk this up to week 1. That's nothing more, nothing less.
Ty.
And bad officiating.
I don't know. Maybe so.
Yeah, I mean, the officiating thing, everybody is, kind of looking at that. I'm not really sure what to think about it because it seemed like a lot of the teams did have some pretty high scores on this first Sunday coming out the box. But as far as the game is concerned, never really been a big fan of Kansas City. I mean, they've been traditionally just you never really know what they're going to do. And Atlanta's kind of the same way. So it's just kind of like who wanted it more today, I guess, come running out the gate. So, yeah.
That's tight. Yeah. All right. More birds. Eagles, 17. And the Dogs. Cleveland Browns, 16. Vic, 317 yards, 2 touchdowns, with 4 interceptions. Maya?
At the end of the day, to me, it is the first game of the season, but it's still a bad indicator they only beat Cleveland by 1 point. Now, for as much as I thought that Michael Vick had excelled in the system for the Eagles, there might be a little bit of maybe some issues and breakdowns, especially with Andy Reid being on the hot seat. Maybe they're not as prepared as we think they should be. At the end of the day, that's a lot of interceptions for Vick. I think that they'll do better, but I still don't think they're going to be playoff contenders.
All right, Farouk?
Cleveland was a top 10 defense last year. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, while they weren't that great of a team, they had a very good defense, and there were a lot of turnovers on both sides in this game. Brandon Wheaton making his NFL debut, the 59-year-old quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He threw a couple of picks as well. But I'm not surprised that Cleveland was able to turn Michael Vick and the Eagles over like this. They're a pretty good defense. They're a very good defensive team. And Philly is overrated. They only were 8-8 last year.
I don't agree with
Philly
that.
is not that good of a team.
I don't disagree with
They're not
that.
that good.
But if most people feel that Philly is a playoff contender, they feel that way. If you only beat Cleveland by 1 point, that speaks volumes about where it seems like they've taken a step backwards from last year.
People had them in the Super Bowl last year.
Well, they were so cracked too.
Had the Browns in the Super
No, the Eagles.
Oh.
A lot of people, when the Eagles made all those, remember the dream.
I wasn't overly impressed with them last year either. But I'm just saying.
Ty, what you think?
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's Cleveland. I think what happened is they underestimated Cleveland because they've always been the joke of the NFL. Mm-hmm. And they came in and, like Farouk said, they do have a pretty good defense. Maybe we should figure out, some kind of alternative route around this. And by the time they figured it out, they were fighting for their lives and won by 1 point. Anytime you have Vic with 4 interceptions and a fumble recovery, like, you shouldn't be making like top lists as a quarterback with those type of numbers. Some of the leaderboards were fumble recoveries. Michael Vick, you should not be on that list. Like, that's not a good thing. Like, you're not even supposed to be on the field when a fumble is good for your team. So you shouldn't make the list. Like, I felt like, I saw that come up on one of the lists that I pulled up earlier, and I was like, that's so disrespectful. They even put his name on there.
But something else with that game, though, the guy a lot of people were thinking would be Rookie of the Year. It's only one game, but Trent Richardson, 19 carries, 39 yards.
Yes, nice for the rookie. Now, let's go ahead and go down to one of our hosts' beloved teams, the New Orleans Saints. That would be Ty. We're going to stick with Ty, too. But Washington, big upset. RG3, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. New Orleans scored 32 points. Breeze kind of came back, 339 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, and killed my fantasy. Ty, defend your boy.
Defend your Breeze?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a coach. How about that? How about he's running his own offense? He's running his own offense, is he not? Okay, but aside from that, I think RG3 really did come out today, and the Saints defense just didn't have anything for it. And on the flip side of it, neither did their offense, trying to get points up on the board. And it's unfortunate that I'm saying this, why no hashtag needed is sitting on the other side of the glass, because I feel like I need a ride home. So, but it just didn't seem like things were meshing well. Like, every time we thought they were going to score, there was an interception. Like, anytime you see Drew Brees throw interceptions like that, something is wrong, because it's just not his game. That's just not what he does. And he still, even though they lost today, he still came up as, I think he was number 2 or number 3 for the quarterbacks with the most passing yards today. Mm-hmm. So it's unfortunate that, you have numbers like that and then you still lose. But I really think the detriment of them really was the defense, because I just don't think they really knew what to do with an RG3. He was making them look like they were playing Pee Wee football.
Wow.
And you remember when the Bears played the Redskins in the preseason, a lot of people were knocking like RG3's height and all this stuff. Like he's not tall enough or whatever. Well, I guess.
Meant nothing.
Yeah, meant absolutely nothing. And I think this game is more about what he did compared to the Saints whole thing. Like, yeah, they got all the turmoil and everything, but you could go on the other side and say they should have been pumped because their guys won their cases this week. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, it's more about the Redskins to me.
Yeah, RG3 definitely proved that he deserves to be in the NFL. A lot of people are giving him slack because Luck has been getting all the attention as far as an NFL perspective, but RG3's been getting all the, the commercials.
Subway.
Yeah, if I see another Subway commercial with RG3, I'm like, okay, dude. But today he came out and played like, all right, I might go to Subway tomorrow for lunch.
Well, hey, it's like he said in his Gatorade commercial. Greatness is made in the summer when nobody's watching. But on the flip side of that, you're right. I think obviously the Redskins have always had talent. And I've always been waiting for when they were going to have that breakout moment and be a better team. And they finally might have a quarterback that's acclimated to make it happen. They went through Jason Campbell. Then, for God forbid, they had Rex Grossman, which I didn't understand that. So now they probably have a quarterback in place that can really do what Mike Shanahan wants to see done. So I think on the flip side, that's a good thing. Now, when you talk about New Orleans, a lot of people said don't count them out regardless to what's happening, obviously, with the bounty system. They won the case, obviously, but they made some changes with Fajita being gone. You get Velma back in the game. Obviously, that came at a time when they weren't really prepared to integrate those people back into the system. I think had that case been turned over, let's say 2 or 3 weeks ago, you might have seen a more prepared New Orleans team. So I think this might have been the lag of New Orleans not quite being prepared. Sean Payton would have probably had the ball rolling had he been there. I think definitely Washington benefited from that fact that New Orleans wasn't quite all on the same page moving forward. But I think obviously Drew Brees is going to keep them in the mix. So I think honestly, I feel more like maybe Washington stole one because New Orleans wasn't quite prepared.
Okay. All right. We got Detroit over the St. Louis Rams, 27-23. Another comeback win for Detroit. They're really good for that. Stafford, 355 yards, 1 touchdown, but 3 interceptions. Stay right here, Maya.
The thing about Detroit is I said this earlier, I said the word classic, and somebody said, what do you mean by classic? But at the end of the day, they're like a fourth quarter comeback team.
Exactly.
When it's all said and done. They haven't lost any talent. They're going to come back and still be who they are. This is part of their identity of not, one, being a high-scoring team, which to a degree you expect that from them just because of the talent base that they have on offense. You talk about Megatron, you expect more. Now, when you look at the Rams, who obviously don't defensively have things in place because Greg Williams was not there, but, and you've got a new coach in Jeff Fisher, and obviously, there's just a lot that they're trying to work through. To be honest, Detroit should have performed better against this Rams team than what they did. But either way, they're still a contender in the NFC North when it's all said and done.
Fruit?
I like the fact that Sam Bradford, who kind of fell off injury-plagued sophomore year last year, he stepped up a little bit with 17 for 25, about 200 yards. Stafford threw 3 early interceptions in this game. Like, he did that boom, boom, boom real quick. And something else, the Lions get knocked for their running game, but they got 4.8 yards to carry out of Kevin Smith today on 13 carries for 62 yards. So
it was a big deal.
Yeah, that's good for
production
them.
for them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because that takes pressure off of Stafford. If they can get 4.8 yards a pop, they're going to be tough to deal with.
John?
Stafford, Bradford.
Stafford,
Bradford. For me, as growing up in Chicago, you never want to root for the Lions, but it's also slightly refreshing to see them somewhat coming together these past couple of years.
Blasphemy.
I know, this is true. But to see them struggle against the St. Louis Rams, that just, come on. They played way better football last year to come into the season like this and only win by 4 against the Rams. So.
Man, not good.
Yeah.
They got the win. Who cares? It's the Lions. All right. Houston, 30. Miami, 10. Foster had 2 touchdowns, 79 yards. But the rookie quarterback for Miami, 3 interceptions, did not look good. I think this is the only time the team is going to get any kind of play beside Hard Knocks. Let's go ahead. Let's change it up. Stand up. Fruit, what you think? Start us off.
Man, Houston, I thought Houston was being the Super Bowl last year until all their people got hurt. So this is not a surprise to me anyway. Tannehill was the quarterback drafted who a lot of people thought would be the bust of this past draft. So this isn't surprising to me at all to see him throw 3 interceptions like this. So this is probably the least surprising outcome of the day right here.
Maya?
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody expected for Miami to beat Houston. I mean, that's just not an expectation. I mean, we saw Hard Knocks. We know that Miami has a lot they're trying to work through. Houston is still a playoff contending team. I mean, you got Arian Foster, 26 rushes, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns, so he's back, in true form. I mean, even though Reggie Bush had a decent game, I mean, he had 14 rushes, 69 yards, but that's not enough to get Miami over the hump when it's all said and done. They're just missing too many components when you talk about being a contender for anything. I mean, they'll be lucky if they go as a 500 team overall.
I got lower than that.
I was being nice.
Oh.
I said lucky. Yes.
Lucky. Ty?
I don't really have much to say about this outside of I'm not surprised. The Dolphins, to me, and this game overall is just about as boring as Hard Knocks has ever been any season. I look forward to Hard Knocks every year, and this by far is the most snooze fest team.
No Chad.
I mean, yeah, that definitely doesn't help.
No
but
Chad.
it starts with the coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you have Bueller's teacher as your coach and he talks like this, regardless of what he's saying. I mean, come on. Can I get a little bit of passion? Can I get so not surprised here at all.
No passion down there at all.
No.
All right. Ty's going to stay with you. New York Jets 48, Buffalo 28. Sanchez 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the breakout person I think player this game, Stephen Hill, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. Huge. Lovey wanted him, but he's in New York. Ty?
Well, it's clear that the Jets saved all of their talent for an actual game because in preseason we were a little, I mean, not worried as Bears fans. We weren't worried, but we were like, oh, this is going to be a snooze fest. They're going to get ran over all year. Because all we really were doing were focusing on, everyone's favorite player here, on the show. But, I mean, Sanchez came out, 3 touchdowns, like you said, 266 yards. I mean, he definitely came out like, look, people, I am talented. I've come to play. This is what I can do. Who cares? I didn't do it in preseason. Let's play ball.
Farouk?
Yeah, I mean, Ty nailed it on the head. They saved it for the regular season because who would have saw this coming? You know what I mean? 3 touchdowns from Mark Sanchez. But Buffalo, I have high expectations for them still. I think I'm going to rack this one up as well to week 1. I'm not ready to make any bold
48
statements
to
about
28.
the Jets. I'm gonna chalk this up to week 1 right here. That's what I'm doing with this, and I think the Bills are still going to be all right.
Farouk, I agree with you on that, and I say that because this was the Bills' game to lose, and they did. I mean, even though Ryan Fitzpatrick went 18 for 32 for 195 yards, 3 touchdowns, but yet 3 interceptions. So if you take away those 3 interceptions, this might be an entirely different game. I mean, total yardage, the Jets had 384 and Buffalo had 390. If you take away those 3 interceptions that they had, that might have been an entirely different game. So I know it makes Sanchez look like he might really be possibly the quarterback for the Jets. I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick had a poor performance, and you should expect more from Buffalo. I agree with you on that.
Before we take this break, though, if you guys are noticing a theme with some of these games, there were a lot of interceptions today.
And high scoring.
High scoring, a lot of 3-pick games by quarterbacks. 3 and 4-pick games, but we'll continue more of this after the break.
Hey, hit me with the stats.
Of course, Stats and Stilettos, WVON 1690.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos here on the Talk of Chicago 1690. Having a real interesting conversation during the break about this teacher strike.
Yes, apparently they're going on strike.
Yeah, so tune in to the Cliff Kelly Show for more on that tomorrow.
Farouk thinks that they should stay home for a year.
Hey.
That's a little too long, but
right. But yeah.
All right, let's continue on with the NFL Around the League segment. We have more time to do it this year, Ty. So
I know. Last year we were like, oh, yeah, and then we're catch us next week. All right, bye.
All right, so lay it on us, D.
All right, it's coming back into this Around the League. We got Minnesota was beat Jacksonville Jaguars 26-23 in overtime. Another NFC North team with a victory. Blaine Gabbert, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the return of AP, and everybody should be hoping D Rose can do this, come back from a knee injury like this. 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. Maya.
even though I was very happy to see Adrian Peterson back in the mix for the Vikings, it doesn't mean that they're going to perform better within the division or
he's still gonna stay.
the conference. I mean, granted, you're right. 17 rushes, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he ran like a man possessed, and that's what you expect from him. But it doesn't change the status for Minnesota. They happen to play a really bad team in the Jaguars that are just probably equally as bad as they are. So it was a matter about who could execute best today to win the game is what it came down to.
Farouk?
I'm impressed with Blaine Gabbert because I thought he just was the worst quarterback in the history of quarterbacks, and he actually was decent today, 23 for 39. So Minnesota had to come back in this game because I saw the score on the ticker during the day, and Jacksonville pretty much had the lead all day long. So and also AP 5 yards a pop is really the thing that I liked. He wasn't, it didn't take him a whole lot of carries to get those 84 yards. So that was a positive for them as well.
With this, I'm not really sure how much practice time Jones-Drew had because, he spent a lot of the offseason trying to rally for more funds, which I feel like half of the league did this summer. But he still had 19 carries, 77 yards, no touchdown. So I'm wondering, because I don't know how much time he's, spent practicing. I don't know at what point he came back. But maybe, he'll get his numbers back up and, work for the money that apparently he got since he's playing.
Right. All right. Tampa Bay, 16. Carolina, 10. Cam Newton, not that big of a breakout, I don't think, at least with his standards. 303 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Josh Freeman, 138 yards, 1 touchdown. Stay with Ty.
Yeah, Cam Newton. Didn't really have a good day.
No.
Today. I know a lot of people have him on their fantasy team. I believe no hashtag needed is one of them. So, he kind of let a lot of people down today, but, I'm a big fan of Cam Newton, so I'm hoping it's like Farouk said, and it's just week 1. All right. Preseason apparently didn't matter to too many people because it seems like they didn't work the cobwebs out as much as preseason is supposed to. So I'm hoping that he gets his game back by week 2, and we'll see the Cam Newton that we're used to.
People have film, y'all. Farouk?
Classic week 1 game. I mean, Doug Martin is the guy a lot of smart football people feel like is going to have a big year, rookie of the year, running back for Tampa Bay. He wound up with 95 yards today. Cam Newton wasn't horrible. I mean, he had a touchdown, 2 picks, right? He had decent numbers.
Anybody get 300 yards, though, now.
Right, it's week 1. It's a road division game for them, if you think about it. I mean, this was not going to be an easy game for Carolina. They're not that great where they can have guaranteed wins on the road in their division. So I think Carolina will be fine. I think Tampa Bay still sucks.
All right.
So.
Maya?
And I'm agree with you on that. When we were doing our preview of each division, one of the questions I put out there is Josh Freeman going to be the quarterback for Tampa Bay? And when you look at his numbers, he doesn't look much better than Cam Newton across the board, yet he's more seasoned and should be better than Cam Newton. I mean, you look at he went 16 for 24, 138 yards, 2 sacks, and 1 touchdown. And you look at Cam Newton, who went 23 for 33. He had 3 sacks, 1 touchdown. I mean, and 2 interceptions. So you take away those 2 interceptions, and Carolina maybe could have won this game. Yeah. But I still say at the end of the day, Tampa Bay is going to have to realize that Josh Freeman is probably not the answer in commanding their team down the field. Because, like I said, they didn't look that much different, considering he's more seasoned than Cam Newton.
That's a lot of passing for 138 yards. That sounds like a very conservative play calling day by the rookie
and that makes
head
you wonder.
coach.
Very conservative for a player at this point. Don't you think they should be like ready to let him off the chain at this point?
He should be a lot better than what he is.
Exactly.
He should be. He should be. Okay, more birds. Cardinals 20, Seahawks 16. Russell Wilson 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Skelton taking off on the cart. Arizona's not too happy about that, but Kevin Cobb came in and got the winning touchdown to put them over the edge. Farouk.
Pete Carroll needs to be fired right
Absolutely.
now.
Whoa.
Right now.
Yes.
Pete Carroll should be fired. Russell Wilson, okay.
Kid has promise, though.
Pete Carroll needs to be fired. You signed Matt Flynn to all this money. I know Matt Flynn wants to just walk up to him and smack him in the back of the head. You know what I mean? Pete Carroll, he's got to go. Go back to USC. See if Lane Kiffin will give you your step aside and let you get your job back. But
USC don't want him.
Well, yeah, he don't. He probably doesn't need to go. The second thought, they don't want him back there.
At least not yet.
But yeah, I mean that's really all this comes down to. Kevin Cobb, who he came in and won the game for him at the end. But I think this is more about Seattle. If Flynn starts, I got to believe they beat Arizona.
I agree.
All right, Maya?
I agree with that. If Matt Flynn starts, who they made the investment in the first place, who should be starting, this might be an entirely different outcome. I mean, overall, both teams kind of underperformed when you talk about it. Really one of the lower scoring games for the day when it's all said and done. And I think at this point, I think Pete Carroll, I agree with you on this, Farouk, has run his course in Seattle. He never was a good NFL coach in the first place. When he was in New England, no great success.
How long he's been there? 2-3 years?
Is this
His third year.
Third year, right?
Obviously, I think he did much better at the college level. I don't think he's well equipped. Seattle only snuck into the playoffs last year, and what a very mediocre record that was, just ridiculous. Like you said, Matt Flynn in this game probably is a win for Seattle. I agree.
Ty?
Yeah, I don't think they've said anything outside of, I'm a huge fan of Larry Fitzgerald and no touchdowns. So they've already covered everything else as far as this game is concerned. So, next.
49ers, big win. 49ers.
Big game of the day.
Big game of the day. That's right. San Francisco 49ers 30, Green Bay 22. Alex Smith, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And the Bears will be up there Thursday. Short week. But Ty, Green Bay, San Francisco.
I mean, Green Bay, we've pretty much already covered it because we were talking about the Bears, and for whatever reason, you can't talk about the Bears and not talk about Green Bay.
Right.
But they're the only team in the division that didn't win today. So,
Yay.
I mean,
That's huge.
yeah. So
Huge.
now the Bears are, headed to Lambeau on Thursday. We'll see what they can do. But, I think that, a lot of times we got onto this Aaron Rodgers thing and it's this wheel and we just kind of keep it going. But the 49ers, like Maya said, people have been sleeping on them a little bit, I think. So we'll see what happens on Thursday.
Maya, let's go ahead and talk about your 49ers.
Like I said, and I really feel that they are a team that gets better every single year. I mean, I think Harbaugh has them on point. So even though I know, granted, last year within their schedule, they had some games that kind of seemed like gimmies, I feel like they can compete with anybody in the league. This is a big win only because Green Bay lost, not because San Francisco won. I think people need to realize that San Francisco is truly a contender. Now, what's interesting is, remember, Alex Smith was having the whole contract negotiation in the offseason.
Yeah.
People thought he might end up in, Miami, and everyone thought that Harbaugh was courting Peyton Manning, which he did. I thought was interesting. But obviously they come back with Alex Smith, who has a very efficient game. He went 20 for 26, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he looked good. They worked well. Everything clicked on them offensively and defensively, with San Francisco. So I am not shocked. Matter of fact, I call San Francisco will win that game. And if you're a Bears fan, you should just be rolling in happiness because, like our two finalists said with Roy and John, that not only is this a big loss within the conference with NFC, but you're talking about this could be something that could come back to haunt Green Bay because you're looking at within the NFC and wild card race. I'm not saying Green Bay is out of it by any stretch, but that Thursday game against the Bears is huge for them because now they could talk about taking a division loss as well as a conference loss.
You know what? We haven't made predictions like Super Bowl predictions on this show, but
Are we really gonna do that on week one?
But this is what I'm getting to. The teams, for the Central anyway, Detroit.
North.
I do a baseball the time.
I feel you.
I do it all the time. Don't worry.
But it seems like the most balanced team in this division is the Bears because Cedric Benson isn't good at running back for Green Bay, and Detroit, they have running back issues. I think if this is going to be the pattern for the Packers, the Bears should win this division because 9 rushing attempts. Aaron Rodgers has the second most rushing attempts on the Packers today with 5. They spent all day throwing the ball.
I don't disagree with that.
You can't win doing that. You can't do that all the time. You got to run it a little bit.
They didn't run it before.
But they ran it. They ran it a little bit last year. They ran it good enough to keep people off of their passing game. Now, if you're only going to get 18 yards on 9 carries out of your running back, you're not going to go 15-1 like you did last year.
Maybe they spend too much time doing discount double check instead of
instead of practicing the power O, they were doing a discount double check.
Yeah,
you're right.
I mean, Ryan Grant's gone. I mean, they had some changes, but I mean, overall, Green Bay has never been a strong running team. That's never been their focus because obviously, when you talk about the receiving core, is strong. But it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. I don't disagree with you that this is the Bears' division to lose, probably barring not being healthy.
You got to run it enough to keep it off of your passing game.
I agree.
All right. I don't know if y'all wanted to talk about this, but I throw it out there real quick. Just say yay and nay, whatever. Dallas upset the Giants. I did not see this coming. Dallas 24, Giants 17. I think a lot of people picked the Giants to win this game, defending Super Bowl champions, but the Cowboys went up to Jersey, and pulled out a shocker. Yeah,
the Super Bowl team hasn't lost at home since 1999, the defending Super Bowl champ. I think this really goes to the Cowboys having a defensive backfield now. You know, with Morris Claiborne, they have corners.
Yeah, they do.
So that's something they really haven't had. So.
And think about it this way. The Giants made a lot of changes in the offseason in regards to who they released after the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not shocked that maybe there's going to be some adjustment issues in regards to how they're going to perform, especially when you talk about in their run game. You know, so for what it's worth, they're going to have to they let a lot of players go. So the question is, can they – I think they're still going to be competitive. I don't doubt that. They're going to make the adjustments, but – Dallas just may have got away with one. I'm not over-impressed with Dallas. I'll be honest. I don't know that I have that much faith in Romo, to tell you the truth, and I like Tony Romo. Like, I know him personally or anything. But I'm just saying, I don't know that with Romo, head of that team, if it makes them better.
All right, Ty, what you think?
Well, I'm not a fan of Tony Romo because I've always felt like he's been slightly overrated. People are always talking about Tony Romo this and Tony Romo that. But one of the, the stats that the guys were at during the game on Wednesday, not Thursday, I have to keep reminding myself, was that Tony Romo is tied for the most touchdown passes from the pocket. He's tied with Aaron Rodgers. And had we been sitting in this room and Farouk said it, I would have fought him to the tooth. that was not the truth.
Right.
But, so I guess I maybe am underestimating Tony Romo on some aspects, but I still think the Cowboys and them being the quote-unquote America's team, it's overrated. I do think that the Giants will get it together. They'll be fine. I'm not worried about that at all.
Right.
I'm not worried about having to deal with the Cowboys late in the season.
Right.
Coughlin just has to get his seat a little hot. It seems like as soon as he's about to get fired, they go on.
He turns it up.
They turn it up.
Right.
All right, the last game, before we preview the Monday's game, we have what's currently on right now. Denver is up right now, 31-19 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Peyton Manning is getting down.
That's right. The God is back for all
2
you
touchdowns,
doubters.
253 yards.
For all you doubters who were like, oh, his neck's gonna snap. He's back.
We were just doing that to antagonize you earlier. That's all that was. But the big play in this game was the pick six.
Pick six, yeah.
That was the play that turned this game around. Now, I was watching that while we were talking, but yeah, I mean, hey.
Look at it this way. Should we be shocked that Denver can accomplish this? I mean, you look what they did under Tebow. They had the talent there. They just didn't have a quarterback that really could execute the way necessary. So now you have the likes of Peyton Manning. So that shouldn't be a shocker that they're better. That should be something that's realistic.
Oh, forgot about one. I'm sorry. New England.
I didn't forget.
Oh,
I was just going to bring it up after this one.
I'm sorry. New England over Tennessee, 34-13. Tom Brady being Tennessee, over.
I mean, not that I have much to
Brady
say
being
about
233 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brady being Brady.
I think the bigger story in this game was really with 125 yards rushing. When was the last time a Patriots running back ran for 125 yards?
Very true.
So if Brady's going to get that, they're going to go undefeated. If he can get that every week, which he won't, but if he gets that, who's going to beat them? With Tom Brady, with the tight ends, and the big-time running game? Think about that.
But that's what New England always does. They're always more prepared than people want to give them credit for. Like I said, they have a system that fits. They plug people in, they pull people out, and they keep on moving. I mean, this is what they do.
So Belichick does.
That's what he does. I mean, exactly.
Ty, what you think about Brady and the boys?
I'm not really a big fan of the Patriots.
I'm not either.
I mean, I don't really have any. I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, they played the Titans, who.
I was told that the Patriots were not going to make the playoffs this year by someone.
Wow. What, is Tom Brady going to get assassinated?
No. Did they have some kind of future intelligence that you could share with
their
us?
upset. They said the Patriots were not going to make it. I mean, I didn't, I just want to share it with y'all.
I don't necessarily see that. Yeah. Even though, I'm saying I'm not a fan. And I'm only saying I'm not a fan just because it's one of those teams that's just constantly beating up on everybody.
Right.
Mm.
And think about it. Defensively, they had a good game. Chris Johnson.
4 yards.
Talking about 11 rushes for 4 yards. So
what
literally
happened?
like 0.4 was an average on every touch that he had.
What happened to him after that holdout? He has not really
Isn't
been
it
the same.
always like that with people?
You know what we need to research is
him and Fitzpatrick. As soon as he got the money, bang.
Performance just
straight down.
We need to find out what happens to guys after they get those 2,000-yard seasons. Stats usually decline drastically for these running backs after they do that 2,000-yard season. Then I guarantee they don't at least get 1,200. We need to have somebody find that out for us, or do it during one of these breaks or something, because I can't recall any running back having a great year after they hit 2,000 yards rushing.
But it's not like he had any injuries. He just.
But I think that wear and tear of getting all those yards in 1 year, I think it takes its toll on the running backs.
And this is for the Titans definitely a transition season. I mean, obviously after being under Fisher for so long, they've got that change that they're trying to make the adjustment to, and they're trying to integrate Jake Locker into this whole picture. And he's young, so you can't expect for them to over excel with so many changes going on. So the question is Locker really able to get Johnson the ball in the right situations? I mean, there's a lot that you got to look at with that, with the Titans, even though I don't expect for them to overperform in any way, shape, or form.
All right. And to wrap it up, tomorrow we got a double dip. We got the Bengals with the red rifle, I like to call them, Andy Dalton, going down to Baltimore. And we have the Raiders heading
Can't
down
wait
to
for that
San
one.
Diego, take on the Chargers.
Which one you can't wait for?
Phillip Rivers, that's my personal favorite quarterback right there. So I can't wait.
Really?
For
Why?
Yes.
Why?
Because he's Dan Marino reincarnated to me.
Really?
Yes.
But he didn't win.
Reincarnated.
But I'm not
he's
saying as
still
far as a
alive.
winner. I like his style of play. I like the whole gunslinger thing. Those are the type of quarterbacks I like. A lot of guys like the whole scrambling. All that. I like a quarterback that can stand back there. Yeah, he's going to throw a few interceptions every now and then. But I like Phillip Rivers. I like his style.
Okay. Well, I think the Cincinnati-Baltimore game is going to be a good game. I mean, a good rivalry already
think so,
established. I expect that Dalton's going to pick up exactly where he left off from last year.
Where's his game? Baltimore?
Yes,
yes,
Baltimore.
Baltimore by 20.
What?
Whoa.
Are you crazy?
Cincinnati did not perform against playoff teams last year. They didn't win against playoff contenders last year. They got like 8 of their 9 wins against teams under 500. They're not going to do it. They're not going to come close to winning this game.
This has been that consistent conversation about the Ravens and their quarterback situation. Are you invested that they have the right quarterback that can really make them successful?
Flacco sucks, but I think Baltimore's defense is good enough to stop Cincinnati.
Okay. Well, and Cincinnati has made some changes. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I just want to see if Ray Lewis is going to turn into ashes.
He's
like 65 years old now, and he's still playing. But to his credit, I mean, he's still playing well.
Yeah. If Urlacher could actually stay healthy, I could see the both of them playing for a little bit of time. How old is Ray right now?
I think they're motivated. He's motivated.
36?
He enjoys. I think the minute
36,
he
37?
stops enjoying what he does is when it will all just.
I don't think he never will. I got the new Madden. He fired me up on the intro.
He got away with murder. He is thankful that he can get on the field.
He is.
I know he'd be threatening people at the line like, I'm going to shank you. I know he'd be threatening people at the line like, I'm coming, I got a knife. No,
all right. Thanks a lot, D, man. Appreciate it.
No
More
problem.
Stats and Stilettos after this.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos. And in my absence last week, I know my co-hosts miss me so much. They come up with all kind of funny stories about where I am. But now that I'm back, we are ready for Sports Chick.
Ladies, it's time for the Sports Chick Tip of the Week.
All right, ladies, it's football season. It is officially in full swing. So this week, watch some football. Don't get on him about why is he still sitting on the couch from Saturday. If he's a college football fan, it started on Saturday. With me, I went into full, what was the word they came up with earlier? Fanaticism?
Fanalisis.
Okay, well, I have a new one. Fanaticism. Started on Saturday with my Buckeyes. Then I rolled into Sunday, all day football. Monday, 2 games. Thursday, 1 game. Saturday, back college football. It doesn't end, ladies. So what are you supposed to do? Jump on in there. Pick a team, pick his team, pick your own team. But this is not the week to start nagging. Week 1, you might as well just forget about it. We have so much football going on this week that it would behoove you to jump in somewhere. College.
Get in where you fit in, ladies.
Pro, Big Ten, SEC. There's so many different options. Just get in there, pick a game, get some wings, drink a beer, make some nachos, call it a day, sit on the couch, don't do anything else. It's football season, and we've got 15 more regular season game weeks to go. Play Madden. Yeah, play a little bit of Madden if you need to understand, what's going on. I don't really understand Madden myself personally.
But you know
it's just
a
too
great
much
training tool, though.
hand and eye coordination for me.
Yeah,
if
I
it's
have
not
the same
Duck Hunt
issue.
or the original Mario Brothers, you can forget about
Donkey
it.
Kong. I have the same.
Like Zelda got too advanced for me. I was like,
issues.
oh, Zelda, you're doing too much. You're doing too
many
much,
buttons
Zelda.
on that remote.
The ducks that come over the grass, I got that. Yeah, those I understand. Madden, no. Hit X, hit O, no.
Too much. Yeah.
That's my tip for the week. Pick a game, pick a day, don't nag, eat some nachos, jump in it.
Make it a personal care day. Shave your legs. Do something. I don't know. Wash your hair. I don't know.
Shave your leg, wash your hair, watch the game.
Right.
That's how you make it stats and stilettos. Yeah, put on some heels, sit on your couch, watch the game. If you feel like you're not girly enough, wear your heels on the couch.
There you go.
All right, wow, we have a whole lot of thank yous tonight, so I'm going to do one of those. You know how people come out to the different things and do the group wave, just wave at everybody?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do one of those. I'm going to thank all of our guests. I'm going to thank
all of the staff.
All of the staff. That's how you do that. That's how.
And
you
everybody
do that.
that came out today for the tailgate party.
Yes.
Right. Everybody that came out today who supported the show, we love you. All the networking we did today, the different political figures out there and possible future sponsors. So.
And on Thursday,
Tilted Kilt, be there or.
Be square, and apparently
I
you'll
wasn't
be
gonna
square.
Say that. I wasn't going to say that because it was going to sound corny, but I'm glad you beat me to the corniness, Ty. Appreciate that. Thanks to everybody for listening. See you next week.